On February 28th, 2001, I was asleep because I was a night reporter and I am a night owl. And so I awoke to my bed shaking, my room shaking. And I mean, it took a moment for me to realize what was going on. And my first thought was, oh, is this an earthquake? And then I thought, oh, we're being punished because we've had so much great weather, because apparently we'd had great weather. That's all I remember. And I didn't even know what to do because I didn't grow up in earthquake country. And so I ran to the door sill, and I could hear things falling and breaking. Oh, that is a sound I hope I never hear again. And so I was just so flabbergasted by the entire thing, and I went down. I thought, well, I've got to leave, and I truly believed there was a point underneath that door sill that I believed truly that I was going to die. I said, if this building does not stop shaking, I'm going to die. And it was really the first time I think I really knew I was going to die, because I mean, I was living my life like one does, like I have all the time in the world. And, but no, I said, no, you're not going to live, because it felt like a big hand was shaking the building. And I live in Pioneer Square, and I went downstairs, and everybody was down there, and I hugged somebody, and then I went back upstairs, which they said we couldn't do, but I said I have to go to work, because I'd always said, you know, when the disaster happens, I will be going to work. But never had the disaster happened to me. And I went upstairs and I called my mother, and I burst into tears. And I was not fine. I was not fine all day. It took me a long time to get dressed. It took me a long time to get to work. In fact, someone at work, one of the bosses said, "You're the only person who isn't in." And I said, well, maybe I'm the only person who's been a part of the disaster. And so I went to work because, of course, I had to, but I was not myself. I was not I think of myself as a vibrant, bubbly person. I was not that person. I was in shock. And I even showed my place on the air. We have video of that. And even years later, people have asked me, how's your place?